So there are times when you can use only one word to specify the quality of a noun. For example, if a kid that's 6 years old, you can't just say 6-year-old girl, boy, something like that without using hyphens. Because if you don't, it's going to seem very disorganized, very scattered. So to make it more organized, less chaotic, you make it into one adjective, and that's going to be a combined adjective. Hi, I'm Nono, and I'm going to be sharing some tips that I know about using hyphens in compound adjectives. So let's take a look. So we're going to look at some adjective forms, which are compound adjectives used with hyphens. And as a little note, we might be able to look at some ways of using prefixed adjectives. So the first one is compound adjectives, and we have some examples. Well-cooked, good-natured, long-term, and then full-scale, large-scale, and so on. We have a lot of words actually, but these are just some examples. Anyway, so these words, if you remove the hyphen, you will get two separate words. But for example, well-cooked meat. So if you don't use a hyphen, that's going to be like three words, right? It's going to be very scattered. It doesn't look as appealing or just easy to understand. But if you say it's a well-cooked meat, which is used with a hyphen now, well-cooked, then that becomes a compound adjective. And looking at this phrase, you get to know that this is more than one word adjective. And we can use these adjectives for many places actually, but to be specific, you can use them for numbers, characters. You can also use it for size, length, quality, anything like that. And these are going to have hyphens most of the time. Okay, so let's take a look at the other example. It says 6-year-old girl, 6-year-old boy, something like that. But there is a noun right after the adjective that is hyphenated twice, 6-year-old. And notice how you don't put the S in year, because you have two words, 6 and then year. These two are acting together. They are corresponding to each other to act as a phrase, act as a compound adjective to specify the noun following it. But on the other hand, if you have a noun at the beginning, girl, boy, is 6 years old, then you will have to put the S back in the word years, because it's just a normal sentence. It becomes just separated words. You don't have to hyphenate them anymore because it's just a normal sentence. You don't have to put it in an adjective form. So we have an explanation here. So we use a hyphen to connect many adjectives into one specified one. That's like I have mentioned earlier. We have more than one word or adjective, and that becomes scattered, disorganized. That's why we just connect them with hyphens. And it must be used before a noun. Hyphenated adjectives or compound adjectives must be used before a noun. In some cases, you don't need hyphens, but most of the time you do need a hyphen to make it more organized. Okay, and you have the final one, which is you don't need any more hyphens after a noun. Like I said, it will be a normal simplification, not specifying the noun with the phrases at its front. It's not like adjective and then the noun anymore. It's just noun. For example, meat. The meat is well cooked. The author is well known. And you just don't have anything else for the words well known to do anything. It's just at the end of the sentence. It has no other function to perform. So you just leave it like that. So we have another one, prefixed adjectives. This is going to be very easy for most of us to see because this is very common. We use it almost anywhere. And it says overpriced, unaware, unemployed, unnoticed, non-existent, and so on. Most of the time we use non-existent as a hyphenated word, but it's not like that. It is just one word. It's not a hyphenated adjective. So we have explanations. And one thing about prefixed adjectives is you don't need to hyphenate them. You don't need to separate them. And they are just, one word collectively. So we have an explanation. The first one says we use it to enhance the original meaning. And it's mostly used for negative meanings or just opposite meanings. And we do have other meanings as well. Extremes. For example, over, super, ultra, hyper that we have in the last explanation that says prefixes. Un, im, none, in, and then we have all these words. So depending on the word, in order to be best suited with the spelling of the word. For example, if you have possible, then we use impossible. That's going to be kind of like an exception. We do have some exceptions to the rule, which almost every grammatical notes have. So for example, notice, unnoticed. We don't want to say air noticed because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match with the rest of the spelling. So we use unnoticed. Non-existent. Now it is quite a different form of using the prefix, but it's, like I said, it depends on the spelling of the word. For example, relevant, irrelevant, legal, illegal. So that's how most of the words work. And we have a lot of prefixes, for example, un, im, none, all of these things. Most of them are negative meanings. And that's why we say it's mostly opposite meanings to the original adjective that we add the prefixes to. But there are other meanings as well. For example, extremes. Over, ultra, super, hyper, and so on. So these are some prefixed adjectives that are quite different from the hyphenated ones, meaning compound adjectives. So to recap everything, and sometimes we want to use words, but we can't really find them because we forget sometimes. So we just try to combine the two words, the two adjectives that we can think of, and put them into a compound one. So for example, it is well cooked. It's quite hard to think of another word that is single word, not like a compound adjective. So in that case, you can use well-cooked meat, well-cooked dinner, something like that. But if you use it as a simplified form, meaning the noun is going to be at the front, the meal is well-cooked. You don't need a hyphen anymore in that case. All right, so prefixed adjectives. We sometimes think that it's going to be hyphenated. No, it's not. Think of impossible, overstimulated, something like that. These are not hyphenated. Those are prefixed adjectives. So that's the difference between the two, and I hope it's helpful for you. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that you found it helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.